I'm sometimes afraid of opening X, Twitter in the morning because one can never know what you're going to get. And yeah, sometimes you get things that are so outrageous like this. A guy with 39 arrests and 25 felonies was walking free, and then he killed an innocent 22-year-old. I mean, I have shared with you my thoughts about this kind of stuff sometimes, that if you wrote this into a novel or a short story or any sort of fiction, nobody would believe that, because anybody would say, well, how come you have a society that allows this? And yeah, this happened in the United States, but we know that equally atrocious stuff is happening pretty much everywhere in the Western world. And why? Well, we know that it's suicidal empathy, as Gad Saad says. But we have this, just another murder the national media ignored because it doesn't fit the narrative. And you already know what the narrative is. Has to do, yes, with melatonin or melanin. I always forget which one is it. In May, Logan Federico, a 22-year-old college student, was visiting a friend in North Carolina when a career criminal— I never understood why are there career criminals. There shouldn't be career criminals. And I'm not talking about they should be reformed. No, I'm a bit more, extreme in those views. Alexander Dickey went on a violent rampage. He broke into her friend's house and shot and killed her. Dickey had nearly 40 prior arrests. In 2023, despite a long history of burglary, he was given probation for what should have been his third conviction. He was sentenced to 5 years but served only 411 days. And it is not until you listen to Logan's father talking about the anecdote in front of Democrats to, well, try to put some kind of common sense in them. How could this happen? This could have been prevented in so many ways. And yes, this video is quite triggering. So here it goes, trigger warning.
How many of y'all have kids? I'm just curious. Here's what I need you to do. When I tell you this story, think about your kids. Think about your child coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep, feeling somebody come in the room and wake them, and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds. Bang! Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 goddamn times, 25 felonies, was on the street. How about that? How good are we doing for our family? How good are you doing for your kids? He should have been in jail for over 140 years for all the crimes he committed. You know how much time he spent in prison? A little over 600 days in 10 years. He's only 30 years old. He was committing 2.65 crimes a year since he was 15 years old, but nobody could figure out that he couldn't be rehabilitated. Well, you'd have to put him in prison to see if he could be rehabilitated. Isn't that the idea of prison? But no, my daughter wanted to be a teacher. She finally figured it out 2 weeks before she was executed. And I haven't heard a damn word from Byron Gibson in South Carolina. Not one word. 4 months, no communication. His biggest concern was that he was pissed off about my interview and how I made him look on the Fox News channel with Trey Gowdy. How pathetic is that? That we're letting our 22-year-old kid Visiting friends. It's all she ever wanted to do was visit friends. And she literally was executed while on her knees begging for her life. Her name's Logan Federico, not Irina. And you will not forget her. I promise you. You will be sick and tired of my face and my voice until this gets fixed. I will fight until my last breath for my daughter. You need to fight for the rest of our children, the rest of the innocents, and stop protecting the people that keep taking them from us. Please. You have the power. We put you in the power to do what you have to do. We're asking you, we're begging you all to stop this. 39 crimes in 10 years, 25 felonies. Can anybody here explain to me, well, how possibly he could be on the street? Possibly be on the street. How is it possible? I could sit down in a room and I could explain the whole process of how it failed, how South Carolina failed, Logan, okay? How lack of communication. What y'all did, you woke up a beast and you pissed off the wrong daddy. Because I'm going to put it out there, and I'm not going to be quiet until somebody helps. Logan deserves to be heard. Everyone on this panel deserves to be heard. And we will. Trust me. My daughter laid on the floor for 7 hours before somebody in that house recognized that something was wrong. And that career criminal, an hour later, went on a spending spree with her debit card. When they saw his face on a video, they didn't have to do a check. He was arrested so many times, they knew who he was. They knew exactly where to go get him. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic that I'm here today. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's disheartening, it's upsetting, it's disgusting. All the things that you can imagine. And one thing is for certain. Let's be clear about this. This is for the lack of punishment, proper punishment. Some people cannot be rehabilitated. I think that melanin is the word that I was using, but let's be fair. I always say that that doesn't matter if the criminal is black or white. There are statistics, of course, that everybody knows that black males are 11 times more prone to, well, have black on white crime than the opposite way. But regardless of that, let's say that we treat every criminal the same way. And in terms of their crimes, there's a proper punishment. That would be the first step. Then there could be some kind of rehab or rehabilitation, see if they can fit into society again. But the problem is that usually there are not enough prisons. It simply doesn't work. And yes, the issues is way more complex than just catch the criminal and punish them, because there's simply no infrastructure currently to punish that many criminals. That is something that I don't have the numbers, but I can guess. I've seen so many examples in so many of these crimes. Then you do a little research, and you will always find some kind of committee or some kind of meeting. They say, hey, we have a prison problem. We have overcrowded prisons. We have to release these people. We need to, let's try to tell judges to, hey, give these people a chance because, well, we are simply overcrowded. We cannot accept more people. And that is a big problem. You either recognize that you have a crime problem or a lack of prisons problem, or both. But this is senseless crime. This should not be happening anywhere. And one of the reasons it happens is that you fail to realize that some people, regardless of their gender, skin color, where they come from, whatever, they cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be allowed into society again. They have to be locked up and throw away the key. It's that simple. It's like, oh no, but you have life sentences for certain crimes. Yeah, but it's like, let's say you have a tier system. You have one felony, all right, you are punished for that felony. You have a second felony after that one, then the punishment is fivefold, like the usual punishment for that second felony. And if you have a third felony after that, then it's just, I don't know, 10-fold, 20-fold, until you learn the lesson. But the problem is that it seems that nobody wants to put the bell on the cat. Nobody wants to acknowledge the problem. Nobody wants to have the conversation. And again, this is a matter of punishment. And when there is let's say that these crimes have an overrepresentation of a protected minority, then it becomes an uncomfortable conversation that, oh no, you cannot say that, you are being racist, or no, let's be realist. Let's be real about this. This is a lack of punishment. There's lack of, and the problem is that if you, let's say, did things the right way, you will eventually, in terms of statistics, we'll have way more black males punished and imprisoned than white males. And even if there's a lot of crime, I'm not saying that white males do not commit crimes. They also commit crimes. And in fact, the thing that I've said so many times is that black communities would benefit from this. Why? Because the highest amount of crime is black on black crime. Blacks are the most affected by their own people. So it's something that I have never understood. You realize that by protecting and by being lenient and not properly punishing crime, you're affecting the community you're protecting to. You're pretending to protect, or isolate because reparations or slavery or whatever stupid ideas or things that you. And I said I have to correct myself. I said when I was talking about this, I said that he was talking to Democrats. I think that that is unfair. Because it is obvious that it's not only a Democrat thing, it's also a Republican thing, because many Republicans, both liberals and conservatives, are guilty of this. They don't want to have the conversation. It is too uncomfortable to have that conversation, but this is going to keep on happening unless, we address it. And you can extrapolate it to any other country in the Western world, and it's still the same happening. You see this, and you can have, I don't know, any protected minority, and that protected minority seems like they can do whatever they please, and you see that like countries, which at some point I will get tired of calling the UK a country, because it has fallen down the drain so much that it's like it is like it's no longer a proper country. Cannot be considered, because we even see actual laws protecting minorities and saying that if you're a white male or a white person, you're gonna have your sentence, your punishment is gonna be greater than any other kind of any other group, which is insane, because aren't they for equality? But again, what I have a political commentary channel where I sometimes address the Power Pundit. I'm going to give you the link in the description, so just go there and subscribe here on the Bottle Language Guy channel. I'm going to keep calling out this stuff, but again, I would like to know what do you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bottle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.